I know this is not our normal time to do a release, but um, there's a lot going on in the world. But there is something extraordinarily important, and um, it's something that it's caught everyone's attention, and that's what's going on in the Middle East. And we both felt like this was something that we needed to take a stand on and have a discussion or a brief discussion about. This is not a full episode. But again, we don't normally talk politics. We don't really get into current events. But this is one of those circumstances that we felt we needed to talk about.
As you said, Brett, before we started recording, one has to take a stand, right? Sometimes to remain silent is to become complicit.
Yeah.
And that's not how either of us think about the current events. Obviously, we are talking about the Israel-Gaza War that started 3 weeks ago.
October 7th.
October 7th. So the war is in its 22nd day. First off, let's get something really fundamental. I think we just agree this is just so important to say right off the bat. We are bothered by the loss of life, period.
Yeah.
The Gazan civilians are in a horrible situation because they have Israel from outside bombing as it seeks to excoriate Hamas. And from the inside, they are living under a regime that most of the world recognizes officially as a terrorist organization, and one that has been well documented as not caring about the Gazan civilians, but caring about their desire. And let's be very, very clear about this. Their desire not to eliminate Israel, but to wipe Jews from the map of the Middle East. I think you and I are well past the point of trying to be soft about this or indulging any of the grotesque arguments we see in the media of moral equivalence. There isn't any, so we're not even going to talk about that, everybody. We're just going to say what is.
And I think that's what brought us really to have this discussion, and we're not here to deliver invective or anything like that. The civilians, especially like the women and children in Gaza, they are going through something that nobody should have to go through.
Right.
It was brought upon by actions of a organization that in their charter, to what you said, their charter is not just to eliminate the state of Israel, it's to eliminate Jews around the planet. And once they're done with Jews, then they would go after Christians. They want to perpetuate their distorted view of a peaceful religion. Let's make that clear. They have a very distorted view of what that is. They want to perpetuate that.
Right. And we're
their
not
target
here,
is the Jews.
Right. And we're not here obviously to talk about Islam, because neither of us is an expert nor a scholar on it. But that said, this is something that we have been talking about now, I mean, daily for 3 weeks. For those of us, who we know people. I know people there, right? I've been to many of the places which have been bombed. What pushes this over the limit for you and me, though, I think, is that this was... Here's the problem, everybody. The problem is that, anti-Semitism, racism against the Jewish people, that's always been around, and it's always going to be around. So be it. But what's new in the Middle East is this isn't two entities fighting each other. This time it was literally the slaughter of 1,400 people, most of them civilians, and not as an act of war, but as an act of terror, of murder, of rape,
Extermination.
of yep,
Extermination.
of torture. All of these things are documented. And here's, I think, what pushed us over the edge that, and Brad, you can agree or disagree with this, but I know we think alike on this, that there are communities around the world, including on campuses all over the United States, celebrating the Hamas attacks of October 7, but to celebrate those are not to celebrate Palestinian freedom. Let me be very clear. I am 100% in favor of a free, democratic Palestinian state. We are way overdue for that. The people deserve that.
Mhm.
And counter to what most Americans realize, the typical Jew wants that. That's not really much of a point of discussion in the community.
They
But
want, from my understanding,
yeah,
you know, whether it be folks that are in Israel, and let's be honest, uh, there are Arabs that are Israeli citizens. There
many,
are
a quarter of the
Christians.
population is
There are
Arab.
Christians that are Israeli
Hmm.
citizens.
Hmm.
There are, obviously Jews that are Israeli citizens. It is not an apartheid environment. Everyone has equal standing.
You can argue, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm, you can argue that Gaza is an occupation. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is something worth arguing. I have heard valid arguments in both directions. I've got no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
To call it apartheid is insulting and ignorant. To
Oh yeah.
call it genocide is, um, you know what? Just put on your mega hat and go back to the polls. I'm just done with all of this.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I know you do. We're like,
Yeah.
but this time it crosses the line because of the horrendous things that were done because people were Jewish. It's you can hide behind Israeli, but that's not what this is about, and all the world leaders know it. And then all of the stuff going on in this country, it, you know, you want to celebrate a free Palestine. I am truly right there with you. You want to celebrate October 7, and then you are complicit in celebrating the rape, the torture, the murder of more than 1,000 innocent people. This is not a political statement. This is just
No.
what happened. And on Dice and Mind here, um, we're sick of this. We talk to people every week, at least every other week, in the TTRPG and adjacent communities. And the goodness, I mean, my God, you and I talk about this like almost every episode. We're talking about how and like
How,
how sweet people are, how decent everyone is, and like our wives hear it. They don't want to, but our wives hear this, our kids hear this. This is a wonderful community. Um, Hopefully what we're saying is not causing offense to anyone. If it is, we're totally okay with that.
oh yeah. To interject.
Yeah, please
Um,
stop me.
I no, because I feel the same way, and you're doing it in a much more eloquent way than I could. I'm not always eloquent when it comes to stuff like this. Um, what happened on October 7th was a declaration of war. It was, but it was going out and murdering, beheading, lighting people on fire while they were living, murdering
Mhm.
family members while they force other family members to watch.
Mhm.
Um, the stuff,
Don't
you know,
forget all the sexual violence and the violence
oh,
and torture of children.
there are videos out there that are public that are shown on regular news programs of where you can see that there have been women who have been violated
Hmm.
against their will in
Hmm.
in brutal ways.
Hmm.
There is, I heard I heard the Secretary General of the UN said that this was not done in a vacuum. Horse hockey. There is no justification for what happened. None.
No.
Absolutely none whatsoever. I am an outsider looking in, and as someone who wants to see peace, would love to be able to someday go to Israel, go to Jerusalem,
Mm-hmm.
see see all the Christian section, the Muslim section, the Jewish section, see everyone be able to coexist peacefully,
Mm-hmm.
be able to go to these areas that would be considered free Palestine, all these
Mm-hmm.
areas that have a history dating back, and whether you want to disagree with what is in, you know, what Christians call the Holy Bible, or what Jews call the Tanakh, or the Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, if I have that right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Independent of whether you believe that those timelines are right, archaeological evidence shows that, people have been there thousands and thousands of years.
Actually, and we're going to get off of this because it'll
Yeah,
degenerate into politics, but
yeah.
actually the evidence shows that humans and their predecessors have been there for hundreds of thousands of years.
That's my point.
At
It's
least
not
back to Homo
politics.
habilis. No,
Yeah,
no,
it's a matter of that is the birthplace of, that whole area.
you
That's
know,
a birthplace of civilization. I would love to have peace over there and be able to visit it.
twice, twice have I stood on the, this is not quite the right word, but twice have I stood on the rooftop of the old city at the intersection of the Christian, Jewish, Muslim, and Armenian quarters and looked around. And has there been peace? No. But surely there must be a way. There must be a way when the majority of people in every one of those quarters are good, decent people asking, wishing, praying for the same thing.
Yeah.
There must be a way. So, everybody, thank you for listening. We we had to say something. We could not stay silent. Brad, thank you for coming to me and suggesting, hey, it's time, because I was really wrestling with that. Um, we
Well,
will
thank you
leave.
for starting it off, because you are, I can get we both can get passionate.
Everyone.
Mine's a little more uncontrolled than yours, let's just say. So,
So if you're listening to this, if you agree with us, fine. Don't feel, think.
yeah.
If you disagree with us, fine. Don't feel, think. Do your research. And we'll close by just saying what everyone decent wants everywhere: peace, shalom, salam. Am Yisrael Chai.